I've earned 30 plus certifications, and I'm here to guide you to success on your exam. Welcome to the Ultimate DP-600 Exam Masterclass. Are you ready to crack the DP-600 exam in one go? You're in the right place. In this session, we'll arm you with powerful insights and hand-picked questions that can make all the difference in your exam performance. We've scanned the web using intelligent crawlers to gather the most critical and high-impact questions, all compiled into one powerful PDF resource. You can download it from the link in the description. Not only will we explore these must-practice questions, but we'll also share real exam experiences and pro tips to give you that competitive edge. Let's dive into the key questions that could shape your success. Question 1. You have a fabric tenant that contains a warehouse. You use a data flow to load a new dataset from one lake to the warehouse. You need to add a Power Query step to identify the maximum values for the numeric columns. Which function should you include in the step? A. Table.maxn. B. Table max. C. Table range. D. Table profile. Correct answer D. Table profile. Explanation. Table profile analyzes column statistics including maximum values, making it ideal for profiling numeric columns without writing complex custom Power Query transformations. Question 2. You have a Fabric tenant that contains a machine learning model registered in a Fabric workspace. You need to use the model to generate predictions by using the predict function in a Fabric notebook. Which two languages can you use to perform model scoring? Each correct answer presents a complete solution. Note: each correct answer is worth 1 point. A. T-SQL. B. DAX. C. Spark SQL. D. PySpark. Correct answer, C and D. Spark SQL. PySpark. Explanation. Spark SQL and PySpark support model scoring using predict function in Fabric notebooks, enabling flexible machine learning inference across languages. Question 3. You are analyzing the data in a Fabric notebook. You have a Spark data frame assigned to a variable named df. You need to use the chart view in the notebook to explore the data manually. Which function should you run to make the data available in the chart view? A. Display HTML. B. Show. C. Write. D. Display. Correct answer D. Display. Explanation. Display function renders data frame output visually, enabling chart view exploration in notebooks for interactive analysis without additional configuration steps required. Question 4. You have a Fabric tenant that contains a Microsoft Power BI report named Report 1. Report 1 includes a Python visual. Data displayed by the visual is grouped automatically and duplicate rows are not displayed. You need all rows to appear in the visual. What should you do? A. Reference the columns in the Python code by index. B. Modify the sort column by property for all columns. C. Add a unique field to each row. D. Modify the summarize by property for all columns. Correct answer, C. Add a unique field to each row. Explanation. Adding a unique field prevents automatic grouping, ensuring all rows appear distinctly in Python visuals instead of aggregated or summarized results. Question 5. You have a Fabric tenant named Tenant1 that contains a workspace named WS1. WS1 uses a capacity named C1 and contains a dataset named DS1. You need to ensure read-write access to DS1 is available by using XMLA endpoint. What should be modified first? A. The DS1 settings. B. The WS1 settings. C. The C1 settings. D. The Tenant1 settings. Correct answer, C. The C1 settings. Explanation. Capacity settings must enable XMLA read-write before workspace or dataset settings, allowing external tools to modify semantic models through endpoints. Question 6. You are creating a semantic model in Microsoft Power BI Desktop. You plan to make bulk changes to the model by using the Tabular Model Definition Language (TMDL) extension for Microsoft Visual Studio Code. You need to save the semantic model to a file. Which file format should you use? A. PBIP. B. PBIX. C. PBIT. D. BIDS. Correct answer A. BIP. Explanation: PBIP format supports saving semantic models as project files, enabling integration with TMDL and version control using Visual Studio Code. Question 7. You have a Fabric workspace that contains a direct query semantic model. The model queries a data source that has 500 million rows. You have a Microsoft Power BI report named Report 1 that uses the model. Report 1 contains visuals on multiple pages. You need to reduce the query execution time for the visuals on all the pages. What are two features that you can use? Each correct answer presents a complete solution. Note: each correct answer is worth 1 point. A. User-defined aggregations. B. Automatic aggregation. C. Query caching. D. One-lake integration. Correct answer A and B. User-defined aggregations. Automatic aggregation. Explanation: aggregations reduce data volume scanned, improving query performance significantly for large datasets by summarizing data at higher granularity levels efficiently. Question 8. You have a Fabric tenant that contains customer churn data stored as Parquet files in OneLake. The data contains details about customer demographics and product usage. You create a Fabric notebook to read the data into a Spark data frame. You then create column charts in the notebook that show the distribution of retained customers as compared to lost customers based on geography, the number of products purchased, age, and customer tenure. Which type of analytics are you performing? A. Diagnostic. B. Descriptive. C. Prescriptive. D. Predictive. Correct answer B. Descriptive. Explanation: descriptive analytics summarizes historical data patterns, helping understand distributions of retained and lost customers without predicting future outcomes or actions. Question 9. You have a Fabric tenant that uses a Microsoft Power BI Premium capacity. You need to enable scale-out for a semantic model. What should you do first? A. At the semantic model level, set large dataset storage format to off. B. At the tenant level, set create and use metrics to enabled. C. At the semantic model level, set large dataset storage format to on. D. At the tenant level, set data activator to enabled. Correct answer C. At the semantic model level, set large dataset storage format to on. Explanation: large dataset storage must be enabled to support scale-out, allowing semantic model to distribute queries across multiple resources efficiently. Question 10. You have a Fabric tenant that contains a warehouse. The warehouse uses row-level security (RLS). You create a direct lake semantic model that uses the delta tables and RLS of the warehouse. When users interact with a report built from the model, which mode will be used by the DAX queries? A. Direct query. B. Dual. C. Direct lake. D. Import. Correct answer A. Direct query. Explanation: direct query mode is used because RLS is enforced at source, ensuring queries execute directly against warehouse for secure data filtering. Question 11. You have a Fabric tenant that contains a complex semantic model. The model is based on a star schema and contains many tables, including a fact table named sales. You need to create a diagram of the model. The diagram must contain only the sales table and related tables. What should you use from Microsoft Power BI Desktop? A. Data categories. B. Data view. C. Model view. D. DAX query view. Correct answer, C. Model view. Explanation. Model view provides graphical representation of tables and relationships, allowing focused diagram creation for selected tables like sales and related entities. Question 12. You have a fabric tenant that contains a semantic model. You need to prevent report creators from populating visuals by using implicit measures. What are two tools that you can use to achieve the goal? Each correct answer presents a complete solution. Note, each correct answer is worth 1 point. A. Microsoft Power BI Desktop. B. Tabular Editor. C. Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio, SSMS. D. DAX Studio. Correct answer A and B. Microsoft Power BI Desktop. Tabular Editor. Explanation. Power BI Desktop and Tabular Editor allow disabling implicit measures, enforcing explicit measure usage, and improving model consistency and performance. Question 13. You have a fabric tenant that contains a lakehouse. You plan to query sales data files by using the SQL endpoint. The files will be in an Amazon Simple Storage Service, Amazon S3, storage bucket. You need to recommend which file format to use and where to create a shortcut. Which two actions should you include in the recommendation? Each correct answer presents part of the solution. Note, each correct answer is worth 1 point. A. Create a shortcut in the Files section. B. Use the Parquet format. C. Use the CSV format. D. Create a shortcut in the Tables section. E. Use the Delta format. Correct answer D and E. Create a shortcut in the Tables section. Use the Delta format. Explanation. Delta format supports ACID transactions and SQL queries, while creating shortcuts in Tables section enables structured access through SQL endpoint. Question 14. You have a fabric tenant that contains a lakehouse named Lakehouse 1. Lakehouse 1 contains a subfolder named Subfolder 1 that contains CSV files. You need to convert the CSV files into the Delta format that has vOrder optimization enabled. What should you do from Lakehouse Explorer? A. Use the Load to Tables feature. B. Create a new shortcut in the Files section. C. Create a new shortcut in the Tables section. D. Use the Optimize feature. Correct answer A. Use the Load to Tables feature. Explanation. Load to Tables converts CSV files into Delta format automatically, enabling vOrder optimization and efficient storage within Lakehouse environment. Question 15. You have a fabric tenant. You are creating a Fabric Data Factory pipeline. You have a stored procedure that returns the number of active customers and their average sales for the current month. You need to add an activity that will execute the stored procedure in a warehouse. The returned values must be available to the downstream activities of the pipeline. Which type of activity should you add? A. Get metadata. B. Copy data. C. Lookup. D. Append variable. Correct answer, C. Lookup. Explanation. Lookup activity executes stored procedure and returns results, making outputs available for downstream pipeline activities without additional transformations needed. Question 16. You have source data in a folder on a local computer. You need to create a solution that will use Fabric to populate a data store. The solution must meet the following requirements. Support the use of data flows to load and append data to the data store. Ensure that Delta tables are vOrder optimized and compacted automatically. Which type of data store should you use? A. A lakehouse. B. An Azure SQL database. C. A warehouse. D. A KQL database. Correct answer A. A lakehouse. Explanation. Lakehouse supports data flows, delta tables, and automatic optimization features, making it ideal for scalable, efficient data ingestion and storage solutions. Question 17. You have a Fabric tenant that contains a data pipeline. You need to ensure that the pipeline runs every 4 hours on Mondays and Fridays. To what should you set repeat for the schedule? A. Daily. B. By the minute. C. Weekly. D. Hourly. Correct answer, C. Weekly. Explanation. Weekly schedule allows selecting specific days like Monday and Friday, ensuring pipeline runs every 4 hours only on required days. Question 18. You have a Fabric tenant that contains a warehouse. What should you use to identify whether throttling is occurring? A. The capacity settings. B. The monitoring hub. C. Dynamic management views, DMVs. D. The Microsoft Fabric Capacity Metrics app. Correct answer D. The Microsoft Fabric Capacity Metrics app. Explanation. Capacity Metrics app provides detailed insights into resource usage and throttling, helping identify performance bottlenecks in Fabric environments efficiently. Question 19. You have a Fabric tenant that contains a warehouse. A user discovers that a report that usually takes 2 minutes to render has been running for 45 minutes and has still not rendered. You need to identify what is preventing the report query from completing. Which dynamic management view DMV should you use? A. sys.dm_exec_requests. B. sys.dm_exec_sessions. C. sys.dm_exec_connections. D. sys.dm_pdw_exec_requests. Correct answer A. sys.dm_exec_requests. Explanation. sys.dm_exec_requests shows currently running queries, helping identify long-running queries and issues preventing report execution from completing successfully. Question 20. You need to create a data loading pattern for a Type 1 slowly changing dimension SCD. Which two actions should you include in the process? Each correct answer presents part of the solution. Note, each correct answer is worth 1 point. A. Update rows when the non-key attributes have changed. B. Insert new rows when the natural key exists in the dimension table, and the non-key attribute values have changed. C. Update the effective end date of rows when the non-key attribute values have changed. D. Insert new records when the natural key is a new value in the table. Correct answer A and D. Update rows when the non-key attributes have changed. Insert new records when the natural key is a new value in the table. Explanation. Type 1 SCD updates existing records and inserts new ones, without maintaining history, ensuring only latest values are stored. Question 21. You have a Fabric workspace named Workspace 1 that contains a lakehouse named Lakehouse 1. In Workspace 1, you create a data pipeline named Pipeline 1. You have CSV files stored in an Azure storage account. You need to add an activity to Pipeline 1 that will copy data from the CSV files to Lakehouse 1. The activity must support Power Query M formula language expressions. Which type of activity should you add? A. Data flow. B. Notebook. C. Script. D. Copy data. Correct answer A. Data flow. Explanation. Data flow activity supports Power Query M expressions, enabling transformation and loading of CSV data into Lakehouse with minimal coding effort. Question 22. You have a Fabric tenant that contains a Lakehouse. You plan to use a visual query to merge two tables. You need to ensure that the query returns all the rows in both tables. Which type of join should you use? A. Inner. B. Full outer. C. Left outer. D. Right anti. Correct answer B. Full outer. Explanation. Full outer join returns all rows from both tables, ensuring complete dataset is included even when matching values are missing. Question 23. You have a fabric tenant that contains a lakehouse named Lakehouse 1. Lakehouse 1 contains a delta table that has 1 million Parquet files. You need to remove files that were not referenced by the table during the past 30 days. The solution must ensure that the transaction log remains consistent and the ACID properties of the table are maintained. What should you do? A. From OneLake File Explorer, delete the files. B. Run the optimize command and specify the zorder parameter. C. Run the optimize command and specify the vorder parameter. D. Run the vacuum command. Correct answer D. Run the vacuum command. Explanation. Vacuum removes unused files safely while maintaining transaction log consistency and preserving ACID properties of delta tables and Lakehouse. Question 24. You have a Fabric workspace named Workspace 1 and an Azure SQL database. You plan to create a data flow that will read data from the database, and then transform the data by performing an inner join. You need to ignore spaces in the values when performing the inner join. The solution must minimize development effort. What should you do? A. Append the queries by using fuzzy matching. B. Merge the queries by using fuzzy matching. C. Append the queries by using a lookup table. D. Merge the queries by using a lookup table. Correct answer B. Merge the queries by using fuzzy matching. Explanation. Fuzzy merge ignores minor differences like spaces, enabling flexible joins between datasets with inconsistent formatting using minimal development effort. Question 25. You have a Fabric tenant that contains a warehouse named Warehouse 1. Warehouse 1 contains two schemas named Schema 1 and Schema 2 and a table named Schema1.city. You need to make a copy of Schema1.city and Schema 2. The solution must minimize the copying of data. Which T-SQL statement should you run? A. Insert into Schema2.city select asterisk from Schema1.city. B. Select asterisk into Schema2.city from Schema1.city. C. Create table Schema2.city as clone of Schema1.city. D. Create table Schema2.city as select asterisk from Schema1.city. Correct answer, C. Create table Schema2.city as clone of Schema1.city. Explanation. Clone creates metadata-based copy without duplicating data physically, minimizing storage usage and improving performance during table duplication operations. Question 26. You have a Fabric tenant that contains a Lakehouse named Lakehouse 1. You need to prevent new tables added to Lakehouse 1 from being added automatically to the default semantic model of the Lakehouse. What should you configure? A. The SQL Analytics endpoint settings. B. The semantic model settings. C. The workspace settings. D. The Lakehouse 1 settings. Correct answer A. The SQL Analytics endpoint settings. Explanation. SQL endpoint settings control automatic table inclusion, allowing prevention of new tables being added to default semantic model automatically. Question 27. You have a Fabric tenant. You are creating an Azure Data Factory pipeline. You have a stored procedure that returns the number of active customers and their average sales for the current month. You need to add an activity that will execute the stored procedure in a warehouse. The returned values must be available to the downstream activities of the pipeline. Which type of activity should you add? A. Switch. B. Copy data. C. Append variable. D. Lookup. Correct answer D. Lookup. Explanation. Lookup activity executes stored procedure and exposes results, enabling downstream pipeline tasks to consume return values directly without extra configuration. Question 28. You have a Fabric tenant. You plan to create a data pipeline named Pipeline 1. Pipeline 1 will include two activities that will execute in sequence. You need to ensure that a failure of the first activity will not block the second activity. Which conditional path should you configure between the first activity and the second activity? A. Upon failure. B. Upon completion. C. Upon skip. D. Upon skip. Correct answer B. Upon completion. Explanation. Upon completion ensures next activity runs regardless of success or failure, preventing pipeline interruption due to earlier activity failures. Question 29. You have a Microsoft Power BI semantic model. You need to identify any surrogate key columns in the model that have the summarized by property set to a value other than to none. The solution must minimize effort. What should you use? A. DAX Formatter in DAX Studio. B. Model Explorer in Microsoft Power BI Desktop. C. Model View in Microsoft Power BI Desktop. D. Best Practice Analyzer in Tabular Editor. Correct answer D. Best Practice Analyzer in Tabular Editor. Explanation. Best Practice Analyzer identifies modeling issues like incorrect summarized settings, helping maintain optimal performance and consistency in semantic models. Question 30. You have a Microsoft Power BI semantic model that contains measures. The measures use multiple calculate functions and a filter function. You are evaluating the performance of the measures. In which use case will replacing the filter function with the keepFilters function reduce execution time? A. When the filter function uses a nested calculate function. B. When the filter function references a measure. C. When the filter function references columns from multiple tables. D. When the filter function references a column from a single table that uses import mode. Correct answer D. When the filter function references a column from a single table that uses import mode. Explanation. keepFilters improves performance when filtering single table columns, reducing unnecessary context changes compared to filter function in import mode scenarios. Please revise full PDF 2 to 3 times for 100% success. Check the description for the PDF download link and don't forget to subscribe to this channel for upcoming episodes. Thank you.